Bam.
Wow, that made my ears ring. Coming to you nearly live from the Beer to Whiskey Studios, high atop Barley's Tap Room on Washington Street in magnificent downtown Greenville, South Carolina. I'm Russ Heaps, and welcome to this episode of Big Jon in 5. And we call it that because that's where I get my good buddy here, Big Jon Richards, who is the beer whisperer for Beer to Whiskey, to pick a beer from one of Barley's 72 taps or 40 or 50 cans and bottles, and we sniff it, we sip it, we kibitz about it. Jon fills us in on a little information about the brewery, and sometimes we even touch on the history of brewing. And with all that said, Big Jon, what do we got?
We've got a hazy IPA, Russ.
Oh, is it hazy?
No, it's weird. It's hard to tell.
It's clear as mud.
Right? So this is actually pretty exciting. It's Magnanimous Brewing out of Tampa, Florida. They have become one of the, treehouse level breweries in the country, or people seeking them out. And in particular, this beer, I think, is probably their most well-known. It's Juice Lord. I would probably call it their flagship beer. And they do a bunch of other stuff really well. But they do this beer as their big, hazy flagship.
I like the name, Juice Lord.
It's right, yeah.
That's great.
It's, we're, parts unknown here with this guy. So as you can see, really bright colored. So we used a really light malt in this, and it really lets the flavor shine. There's Mosaic Citra and Big Secret hops, and so it's going to be super, super tropical. It's going to be really, really aromatic. All three of those are big aroma hops. So, that's the basics of what we're doing here. 7.5%. So that's about where a lot of these hazies in that 7 to 8% range, that top end for IPA, and I think you kind of have to get enough going on there to balance what you're doing with these giant aromatics. So let's give this guy a sip.
Let me just mention, because this is the only thing that I get to talk about where I sound like I actually know what I'm doing. This probably looks like head to you, the white on the top of these glasses. It's not, it's lacing.
Yeah.
That is how heavy the lacing is on it, which is a good sign.
Yes.
About many things. But let's do it. Texas Miss Lily.
So now I knew that was coming. I almost forgot to choose the camera. Yeah, the aroma's big on that. Ooh, that's a big round beer. It's like biting into a
holy cow
papaya. Probably. Big tropical things going on there. Probably some stone fruit going on there too, you think? Like some nectarine or apricot?
I'm trying to figure out what I'm getting on the back end of that. I wouldn't call it citrusy. I wouldn't call it, I don't know what it is.
It's a little rindy on the back.
Maybe that's what it is.
And there's a little touch of bitterness on the finish, which I like, because a lot of these depend on acidity to dry them out. And I would much, much more comfortable with a beer that has a little touch of bitterness to it, to balance down the sweetness, because there's a ton of sweetness in these beers. That's why they're so accessible. That's why why everyone loves a hazy IPA, because they're so easy. Because they're so easy, everyone that jumps in that thinks they don't like IPAs, or sometimes thinks they don't like craft beer, jumps in and tastes these and go, oh wait, this doesn't taste like anything else in the beer world, because it doesn't. And this is where you really get to talk about the difference between, or the subset of hoppiness from bitterness. That hops don't just add bitterness. And so when people go, I don't like hoppy beers, they typically mean is I don't like bitter beers, because you come in with something like this and it's an entirely different ballgame.
Now that once you mention rind to me, that's really what I'm smelling and what I'm tasting, with just a little tiny bit of citrus, but it's more than rind than.
Yep. And to me, it's like
rind.
To me, it's almost like a melon rind versus a like an orange peel. Like I talk about things getting pithy, and there's a little bit of that pithy bitterness in there, but it's almost like the bite that you get out of a melon rind versus the grapefruit pith or orange pith or whatever.
This is very different from most of the hazy IPAs that I'm familiar with, because there's not really much in the way of sweetness to it. It's a dry.
Right. It's balanced better.
Right.
It's a, again, and one of the reasons I'm so tired of hazy IPAs is that you guys only get a taste of it.
I listen to this all the time.
It's that people, you just think you can throw whatever it is out there. You can drop it 2 weeks before it's ready. It hasn't matured out. It's still green and vegetal. You haven't done any kind of whirlpooling or any kind of filtering to get particulate matter out. So you get something that's, soupy and chunky halfway up the glass. It's, they think we'll just throw, 40 pounds of hops in during fermentation and call it a day, drop it in a bottle, and it's garbage product. It's not good brewing. And to put some care into it, make a beer that's balanced, make it taste the same way every time, it's hard to do. And so I think that's why so many breweries have 90 different hazy IPAs, because they just throw something stupid in there, hope for the best, put it out on the market, whether it's good or not, and slap a crazy weird name on it, and that's the end of the day. People have to get back to putting balanced beer on the market. I'm done. I'm off my soapbox.
Does it hurt?
It does.
Like when you fall off
my soapbox? It does.
Okay. All right. I like this.
No, I like this one. There are some hazy beers that I do like. It's just there's so many of them out there that I feel are haphazard, that aren't brewed well or balanced well, that are just.
This is wonderfully executed. I think.
And that's one of the reasons people go out in search of it, because this drinks like a dream. There's so much flavor in there. The longer it sits with me, the more I'm getting, the more it dries out, versus a lot of them just sit and get chalky, and I just want to turn my mouth out to get it.
Right.
This one sits and it stays dry. I'm even pulling flavors out of it as I talk, because I'm getting more like that orange dreamsicle sort of a thing going on as I talk over it. There's a lot of flavor in this beer, and it's really, really well balanced.
A lot of times when we do this, we do 6, 7, 8 beer episodes at a time, and then throw in a couple of whiskeys at the end. But
troopers.
A lot of times we don't even have to go downstairs to the other 40 taps or whatever's down there. We can usually find what we have up here. But one of the managers mentioned to me when I was setting up today that this was down there, and we ought to feature it. So
and I was only too happy to.
Yes, and I think that was a wonderful suggestion.
Yeah, excellent. Here we go. Cheers.
So damn lucky. See you next time.